One aspect of this vision is to enhance our digital presence, to make more educational resources and webinars that are available online, accessible to all members, no matter where you are.
Welcome to EyeCan, a podcast about ophthalmology through a uniquely Canadian lens with Hadi Saheb and myself, Heather O'Donnell. Season 5 of the EyeCan podcast is brought to you by Dagher Ophthalmology. We thank them for their support.
La saison 5 du balado EyeCan vous est offerte par Dagher. Nous les remercions pour leur soutien. We will be sharing our experiences as ophthalmologists today and tackle some of the challenges we face as healthcare providers. Today on EyeCan, we welcome Dr. Mona Dagher, head of the Department of Ophthalmology at Centre Hospitalier de Université de Montréal, or CHUM, and also adjunct professor, Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences at McGill University. Dr. Dagher was chair of the annual meeting planning committee of the Canadian Ophthalmological Society and has served as board member of the COS since 2012. Dr. Dagher enjoys teaching medical students, ophthalmology residents, and clinical and research cornea fellows, as well as training master's and doctoral students as well. She completed her undergrad degree at McGill University, where she received the Hilda Diana Oakley Scholarship for ranking top female student at McGill. She then completed her medical degree and specialization in ophthalmology at Université de Montréal, graduating on the Dean's Honor List. Dr. Dagher then pursued postdoctoral fellowship training in cornea, external eye diseases, and refractive surgery at the Massachusetts Eye and Ear Infirmary at Harvard Medical School. Dr. Dagher has brought her expertise on keratoprosthesis surgery to Canada after conducting considerable research and clinical work at Harvard Medical School under the mentorship of Dr. Klaas Dolman.
After restoring sight to several Canadian patients through implantation of the Boston keratoprosthesis, Dr. Dagher was chosen Personality of the Week by La Presse and Radio Canada. Dr. Dagher has completed extensive research in the field of ophthalmology and more particularly on the Boston keratoprosthesis and on refractive surgery. Dr. Dagher has published over 130 scientific articles and acts as a reviewer for many ophthalmology journals. She has also authored numerous book chapters about cornea and external eye diseases. Dr. Dagher has been a guest lecturer and instructor at ophthalmology conferences internationally. Mona, welcome back to EyeCan, this time as our guest and not as a co-host. We are excited to put you in the hot seat, so let's get started.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thanks for this incredible introduction. It's great to be back. It's great to be on the other side as an interviewee and not the interviewer. It's exciting and very insightful. Thank you so much for having me.
And as someone who has been on a number of committees led by Dr. Dagher, I'm always amazed and inspired by her ability to lead with grace and poise and simply get things done. So it's amazing to have you back here on the EyeCan, Mona. So let's get started.
Thank you so much, Hadi.
So Mona, you've been at the COS as a volunteer leader for over a decade now, which is incredible. So thank you for your commitment to the COS and bringing it where it is today. You are the chair of the annual meeting planning committee, which is likely, one of the bigger tasks of the COS leaders. And now you have moved on to president. So can you tell us a little bit more about your vision for the organization during your presidency term?
Sure. It's been an incredible experience being on the board of directors of COS for the past 12 years. And I'm incredibly honored to have been elected and to step into the role of president. My vision for COS, it's simple, yet it's ambitious. It's to continue pushing the boundaries of innovation, ensuring we're always ahead of the curve in ophthalmology. I'd like to build a more inclusive, collaborative environment where every member feels empowered to share their expertise, contribute to advancements, and shape the future of our field. So I've been involved with COS in various leadership roles for over a decade, from being chair of the annual meeting, as you mentioned, Hadi, to serving on the board liaison for young ophthalmologists and residents. And that's how I'd already started. In 2012, I was recruited by Dr. François Coder, who was at the time president of COS. And each of these experiences has shaped my vision as a president. My goal is to build on a strong foundation that's already in place and to steer the society toward a future of more accomplishments and greater successes. One aspect of this vision is to enhance our digital presence, to make more educational resources and webinars that are available online, accessible to all members, no matter where you are. So the learning modules are one way. The innovation webinars are such an example as well. We've taken them off this year and it's been going great. So I want to create new opportunities for international collaboration, ensuring that Canadians remain at the forefront of global advances in our field.
I love that, Mona. And I think, what a few of the things that make Canadian ophthalmology unique, I think one is, whenever I travel internationally, I do feel like because of a number of Canadian leaders, because of the quality of our trainees when they graduate, I feel like Canada is recognized as a place of excellence for ophthalmology. So I love that you capture that. And the other aspect that's unique is just how large the country is and how spread out everybody is. So I think that digital presence is particularly relevant to our group. So thank you. Do you have any other key initiatives or priorities you plan to focus on in this first year of your presidency?
There are really three key priorities right now. So we're working on the educational programs. So we want to increase our outreach both nationally and internationally. And we're trying to ensure that we're on the cutting edge of the innovation, the ophthalmic research, the technology that's out there. For instance, in CPD, we are looking to create more interactive online platforms for knowledge sharing. And I know that it's very essential for our membership, the Section 3 credits of the Royal College Maintenance of Certification program. So we're ensuring that we have a lot to offer in that domain. Also, as you know, artificial intelligence is taking more and more space everywhere we go. And this year, for the first year at the annual meeting, we're hosting a session on AI led by Dr. Ferris Antaki. Next year, for example, we're building more on precision medicine and on genetics. So there'll be sessions on genetics, which is very essential going forward. The second main priority is really fostering even stronger relationships with our subspecialty societies. The focus is on support and working collaboratively. So we want to work with the different subspecialties being CRS, CJS, CAPOS, and we want to provide support to help with position statements on important matters that influence our profession. So it's all about continued support for the growth of each of our subspecialty. And the last key priority is advocacy. We want to ensure that ophthalmologists in Canada have a strong voice in shaping healthcare policies. And this involves not just meeting with policymakers, but also equipping our members with tools to advocate effectively in their communities. We have regular meetings on advocacy and meetings with provincial presidents. We're ramping up our efforts to strengthen our voice collectively in healthcare policy. As you have heard, the recent passage of Bill C-284, the National Strategy for Eye Care Act by the Government of Canada, has marked a significant advancement in Canada and its commitment to eye care and eye health. This legislation will set forth a comprehensive framework, and it will develop a national strategy to improve eye care, rehab services, invest in research, provide more treatments and cure, and also increase accessibility, as well as promote education on vision health nationwide. I think this policy will definitely have a huge impact and a long-lasting impact. And we're very grateful for Parliament members and for Judy Schgro, who actually helped move this forward so swiftly. So we're really excited about this achievement.
Mona, I'm amazed at the bill. I think it's like a no-brainer that this have passed, and I'm wondering if if there's similar bills like in other aspects of healthcare, like there's similar bills for, I don't know, heart disease or cancer, and if so, do you have any thoughts on why it took longer for this to be developed in vision care?
I believe there are many other bills like that, and ophthalmology and eye care in general had been lagging behind. But we're actually so happy that it passed, and we've been working on this for the past several years through the advocacy campaign, and Kim and all the board members who had done advocacy. We're lucky that it passed because it was essential for the eye care health to be represented as well, just like others have in the past.
I think it's also a great opportunity for all the stakeholders of vision care to come together, right? I think this is kind of our push to all come together, and it, the government is clearly giving us a common goal, and I think it's such a win for all of us. So kudos to everyone who pushed that forward.
Thank you.
I agree. It's incredible work.
As you comment about the volume of priorities and the number of various directions that the Canadian Ophthalmological Society is taking on. First of all, having now read this incredible introduction of all of the work, and it doesn't even capture all of it, that you've and the legacy of work that you have, I don't have any doubts that you're the president to lead us through these key priorities. You mentioned inclusion and mentioned collaboration, and I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about our membership and who our members currently are. Even if you don't worry about having the numbers today, we can always put them in the show notes later. But if we want to foster inclusion, the question is, who are we missing out on? Who doesn't feel included now? If our members are at the heart of this organization, how are we going to engage them? And how do we create environments for our members so that inclusion isn't just a word on our website that we say we support, but that we have initiative behind making sure, whether it's individuals with disabilities, whether it's gender related inclusivity, whether there's matters of race or other issues that I think are very divisive publicly right now. It's a big question, but how do we use our membership, both supporting them and engaging them, to try and solve some of these challenges?
Great question. Of many national societies across Canada, COS is very well represented by its members. We actually are 70% of the ophthalmologists of Canada members of COS. So only 30% are not captured. And it actually varies by province. And we have looked at it very in depth. And we have graphics showing which provinces lag behind and which provinces are 100% membership. I can tell you that some provinces are on the ball every year, 100%, and others, like Quebec, are always a little shy. So maybe 50% of Quebecers are actually members of COS. And we do understand why, and it's mainly cultural, linguistic, and we want to be more inclusive, and we would like to foster more a relationship with the Francophones. We've done that in the past through meetings that are in French, and we have also now spokesperson for the first year this year for our renewal of the membership. We have Dr. Jacinthe Rouleau, who's my colleague in neuroophthalmology at the CHUM, who is the spokesperson for COS and who is enticing Quebec members to actually adhere and become members of the COS and not just our local Association des médecins ophtalmologistes du Québec. I think it's essential. And I know that members are truly the backbone of COS. So my goal is to stay connected, to listen closely, and create more avenues for feedback and collaboration, whether it's through the mid-year forum in January, or through the annual meeting in June, or through surveys. We always want to hear from our members. We want to hear their feedback, their constructive criticism, how to lead the organization, how to make it better. So the direction of COS will be actually guided by the voice of our members, and we're always listening. And it's not just about listening, it's also about building community. One of my major commitments is to foster a strong sense of community among the members, and I believe engagement is the key to that. So mentorship is essential to that also. I've done it in the past. As an example, during my time as chair of the annual meeting, the younger ophthalmologists and the residents didn't have much role in the annual meeting, but we built sessions that are just dedicated to them, and it expanded. And as you can see from year to year, it gets bigger with surgical transfer courses to sessions, and they have their invited speakers as well. So it's grown so much. And this is kind of cross-generational mentorship that I plan to promote even further, so that every member feels that they're valued and that they're heard. This year, the EDI committee is actually currently working on a membership program as well. And as you know, mentorship plays a big role, and it's the way to bring in members that haven't felt included in the past, but by twinning them with someone who has the expertise, who's been in a field longer, who actually represents what they represent, is very first comforting, but also it can allow them to grow as an ophthalmologist and to feel more included.
No question. If we don't see ourselves in the leaders that we're looking towards, it's really difficult to try and grow and evolve in a direction that seems impossible for you. So thank you. Those are all, I mean, it sounds like fantastic initiatives. EyeCan wants to know what you think. Please send your comments on today's episode or any suggestions you may have for topics or features to communications@cos-sco.ca, and we'll try to incorporate them into future episodes.
EyeCan veut savoir ce que vous en pensez. Veuillez envoyer vos commentaires sur le balado d'aujourd'hui ou vos recommandations de sujets à communication@cos-sco.ca et nous essaierons de les intégrer dans les prochains épisodes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Colin Mann. I'm a comprehensive ophthalmologist in Nova Scotia, and I listen to the EyeCan podcast.
You did mention Section 3 credits earlier, and we all know how difficult it is to get those practice audits in, and those Section 3 credits are the hardest out of all of them to get. So let's talk a little bit about professional development. What steps do you plan to take to ensure that our programs continue to grow and evolve in a way that benefits ophthalmologists, not just in Section 3? Now, this all to say to our listeners, if you had the privilege of attending the COS meeting last year, this was organized by Dr. Dagher, and it was an incredible experience. I don't get to COS all as often as I would like, especially when it's out east, but this year I went and had an incredible time, and I learned so much, and the meeting was so well organized. With the speakers were incredible, and you just did such an amazing job. So congratulations again on such an exceptional meeting. That's a great example of the professional development, but tell us, how is it going to grow and evolve? Or was that the peak? You can tell us, look, I peaked, I've been doing a lot. This was the pinnacle, and it's all downhill from here.
Not at all. I think it will only grow. And I think that I've left it in the capable hands of Dr. Adam Musichuk, who will actually lead it to further heights. CPD, so continuing professional development, is one of my biggest passions. I've been in the CPD realm for the past 15 years, first provincially in Quebec, and I've led many conferences yearly in Quebec for 10 years. And then in the past 7 years with COS at the annual meeting on a more national level. COS, not just through the meeting, but in general, has incredible programs, and I want to see them grow. For instance, we're tailoring offerings to meet diverse needs. We're not just giving an annual meeting. We want to allow people to benefit through leadership role, for example. The learning modules are a great way to get Section 3 credits, as you said, and we're growing them. We started with the first one, which was on corneal topography, and now there's others on ocular surface. There's one on limbal stem cell deficiency, one that will be on corneal infections, and another on keratoprosthesis. So we're growing them to be more inclusive in cornea, but it's not just going to be on cornea. There's going to be 2 retina modules that are coming out as well on AMD and other treatments. So this is part of the online learning, and it's on the PRC. The iNovation webinars are a new initiative from this year, and this is also going to be held monthly, at least for this year, and we're hoping that it will grow in the future years as well. The iNovation is to connect us with international speakers, experts in their field, so that the Canadian Ophthalmology Network keeps in tune of what's new and what's happening nowadays, so that we don't fall behind. Again, at the annual meeting, like I said, there will be new sessions, for example, AI and genetics that will take place because it's important to remain current. We will also have this year at the annual meeting during current context advocacy training. There are representatives of the American Academy of Ophthalmology who are coming into the COS in Vancouver to give us a talk on advocacy. And I think it's essential for all of us because it's the way that we are going to be leading and also defending our profession. At the annual forum in January, ethical considerations in ophthalmology, injury prevention, and ergonomics will be covered. These are new for this year, and I think they're essential, and there's a lot more. We can speak about this for hours. I'm passionate about CPD, but I'm going to leave it up to the membership to discover it with us this year.
Fantastic. Thank you. I was hoping to double click a little bit on what you were saying about collaborating with subspecialty societies. I, of course, wear the CGS member hat and care about that subspecialty, but I know for the COS, there are various subspecialties that are relevant. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you envision collaborating with the various subspecialty groups in ophthalmology to strengthen the organization and also help implement that vision for the COS that you discussed earlier?
Sure. Hattie, as you know, we've met this year. I've also met with the CRS president. We have meetings with pediatrics also. We want to be there for each subspecialty to be able to support them. As you know, at COS, we have a wonderful team that works so hard and so dedicated and has the means of making things happen. And a lot of times the subspecialties do have an executive and they do have a staff, but not as solid or not as available. So as long as we work together collaboratively, it's in the name of ophthalmology. No matter what subspecialty it is, it's representing ophthalmology in the long run. And that's why it's essential that we work together for the joint good of everyone. So with CRS, I've met with Dr. Chaudhry and we've talked about webinars through the iNovation. So a couple of webinars on retina, a couple of podcasts on retina, other initiatives through research and things like that. There are also going to be some position statements for CRS, for pediatrics, and another as well for oculoplastics. These are things that we are helping the different subspecialties do so that we give them support in order for them to be able to deliver for their own subspecialist and to be well represented.
I think that's so powerful. When the COS provides those sorts of directives, they're incredibly useful, not just to the subspecialties, but to ophthalmologists across the country. And the voice of the Canadian Ophthalmological Society definitely matters to our patients. And I find it's one of the most helpful things when patients come in and say, well, what do you think about this? Like, give me your opinion on Ortho-K, for example. When you can direct them to our national organization's respected position statements, it's a very powerful thing for a clinician to do. And it's such exceptional work that the group is doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about time, because we're all sitting here on our same 24 hours of the day, and everybody feels stretched and the world feels like a really complicated place and everybody seems pulled in different directions, and you are no exception. Okay. You seem to wear a million different hats and you're managing still to be this incredible volunteer leader. So, I mean, if you have some magic recipe you're willing to share, this is your moment, please pass it on. But I don't think it is magic. And I think it's about, you have this sort of enduring commitment and you're just willing to keep saying yes and keep going. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit first about that. So I'm curious, before you answer this question about other volunteers and leaders, I want to know a little bit more about your drive and willingness. Lord knows you could be doing things for more money other places, okay? But you're here I mean, you're here talking to us. You're always giving back to the community. Where does that come from? And where does the drive come from? And why do you keep saying yes?
I really enjoy it. I think being a volunteer is very rewarding. And at the same time, it's a learning experience. The more you do, the more you get acquainted with people, the more you get to know people, but you also learn from them. I'm a person who loves to learn. I'm a person who is driven by challenges. I'm not money oriented, and it's not about that. It's about discipline, being organized, doing things because you're passionate about them, because it leads you to develop programs, to network with colleagues, to grow personally and also collectively as a team. So I think it's been extremely rewarding as an experience. I've grown a lot through it. And I'd like to know that others also enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, I think they do, and I think they get inspired when they see you doing it. So I do think that's one way, is like you continue to demonstrate by leading by example. But what are other ways that we can get other volunteers engaged in COS and volunteering, even if it's volunteering within their own provincial societies or at other levels within governance and healthcare infrastructure across our country for ophthalmology?
I think that the best way is to encourage them, to allow them to see how meaningful and rewarding it can be. I think the best way to start is small, with something that's time limited, projects that are simple to do within the interest of the person. So, for example, somebody can start by reviewing abstracts for this US annual meeting. It's short time, it's not much of a commitment, and it will show them how much it could be rewarding. And then later on, that same person will try to take on a larger role and build confidence and growth. And then later on, that could lead to a larger leadership role. So I don't think any role is too small. And I think any role has a huge impact. So it's important to just start small, and you'll see how much you can make a difference.
I think along the way, there must have been, in order to gather up that kind of excitement and energy and ongoing passion for it, you must have felt valued as a volunteer. So there's no question. So you're learning things, but I think there must have been, I'm curious about whether sort of people along the way, if anybody stands out to you as, well, it seemed to matter to this person that I was here. And so I kept coming back, because I think there's that, and that's that leadership piece where, you know, it's not just, sure, there's these intrinsic things and you enjoy it and you're learning, but also like, what is it about, like, who made you feel the most valued in volunteer positions that sort of drove you forward?
I think mentors do, people who lead by example, and you follow their example and you grow that way. Yes, you do feel valued, not just from your mentors, but also from younger ophthalmologists who look up to what you've been doing and how you've been doing it and how efficient it is or how much it's been productive. So you're valued, definitely, but you also feel rewarded by giving to your community. So it's a give and take. You do feel good about doing it, but also you're giving back to the community for whom you've been working.
As I listened to Mona, I realized that I fell prey to her tactics of involving people. About a decade ago, she asked me to take on one of the skill transfer courses at the COS. And over the decade that follows, God knows I did a ton more for COS. So that's a great tactic. It worked, but it was great. So I thank you for looping me in there.
Thank you, Heidi. But look at you now. So
there you go.
President of CGS. Yeah. Good for you.
Awesome. So you've talked a lot about exciting projects and initiatives for the COS, a lot of positive things. And of course, COS is responsible for all the good to come, but also to help us with some of the more difficult aspects of, current day ophthalmology. And so can you tell us a little bit more about what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing or that you foresee during your term as president, and what are your strategies to tackle them?
Sure. Any presidencies actually will be faced with challenges. And I think challenges are always inevitable, but there are opportunities to grow. And I'm driven by challenges. I like to overcome challenges. I like to overcome obstacles. As you know, and we've been living it in the past few years, one thing that we're facing is the rapid pace of our changing environment at work, and also by the changing landscape of healthcare delivery. It's actually being proactive by being there and advocating for ophthalmology, by giving our members tools that they can use to help plead for our profession. That's how we can turn challenges into successes. I'm sure every president before me has been in a position where they had to take decisions that are hard, and decisions where you have to collaborate with other stakeholders in the field and vision health in general, and also to promote ophthalmology, but to keep promoting it to a point where it's still the leader. And I think it's important that we actually stand strong collectively together to preach for our field. It's important that physicians and surgeons always are at the forefront.
I'd like to talk a little bit about growth of the organization. You mentioned we're at 70% of the ophthalmologists across the country that are currently members, which is, I think that's actually an astonishing number. I think it's higher than I would have anticipated. So I'm glad to know the number. You anticipate it's going to grow. I'm curious, do you have a goal in mind? I mean, maybe it's 100% and it's a lofty goal, but do you have a goal? And as we grow, how are we going to maintain this sense of community while adapting to some of the challenges that you've just discussed?
Yeah, it's a good question. Sense of community is crucial. I think more collaboration, being inclusive, every member matters. All these are important to COS. And it matters no matter what subspecialty, where you're situated in Canada, what ethnic background you're from. It's essential that we are all collectively represented. I think what makes COS so special is all the networking, the collegiality, and it's essential that we continue this way. I don't have a number in mind that I'd like to see the membership grow. I think it's essential that we keep growing. In the future, if we're 100%, that would be awesome. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is just to keep growing and to keep offering our membership more opportunities, more offerings, more educational possibilities. I think this way you can gain their interest, that you can allow them to be more engaged and to realize how much valuable it is to be a member of COS. So I think keeping up with technology, research, innovation, remaining current and fresh and open-minded, I think all of those are ways to keep current, to keep relevant, and to be impactful. And I think it's the collective effort of everyone involved that will strengthen the foundation of COS. I've always felt that it's a huge community working together, and it's essential that we continue being cohesive.
I agree with you, and I love that. I have had the pleasure of interacting since starting the podcast with Kim Teitler, who writes for the podcast and does a tremendous amount to support. I think Kim is a great example of someone who works for the Canadian Ophthalmological Society, but clearly also believes in the work that we do. So you have this, there are these people that exist at the COS. I'd like you to speak a little bit about the other folks at COS before we go on to, because I want to know what the membership can do to support you. But also, can you talk about who is COS a little bit and the other people around you, just to give the listeners an idea of, we know here you are our leader at the top, but talk about these other folks.
Absolutely. And COS does not exist without the staff. I think the COS staff is just phenomenal. We're so fortunate to be working with such dedicated, smart, witty, innovative staff, from our CEO, Kim. Kim is awesome. She's been behind this podcast. And Hattie and I have worked with her for the past couple of years, and it's just so well run. Such dedication, such effort, and a lot of passion into it. Although the staff are not ophthalmologists, but they work for COS, and they're as dedicated and motivated and eager to see this grow. And we're really grateful to them. The COS is built of a huge team It's actually, I call it huge because they do a huge work. It's not a huge team. We can count them on two hands. They're just a wonderful team that works so hard for the membership. And we're lucky to be able to work with such wonderful people. And then there's the board. And I'm really also fortunate to work with a very dedicated, witty board. The board, I've been on the board for 12 years. I've seen people come and go, and I've always been impressed by the talent and the dedication, different subspecialties, different geographical areas across Canada, different age groups, but everybody has the same motivation. And we've always collaborated so well together. We foster open communication. We always build consensus. We drive action. We have a shared vision and a shared purpose, and we ensure that COS will continue to be at its best for its members.
What can the membership do to support you specifically in your role as president?
The membership, it's the best way members can support me is really by staying engaged and sharing their ideas. One thing I'd love to see more members stepping forward with new ideas for initiatives that we can take. We're all experts in different fields. We all have our expertise. We can build on a stronger basis altogether. So whether it's proposing a new educational series, starting a new research collaboration, or simply just offering feedback on how we can improve at COS, I think that would be really wonderful. And I really encourage every member to do so. We always send out evaluation forms at the annual meeting. We're always available by email or by text. So no matter what, members can always share their ideas, and that is a great way to contribute to COS.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Mona. What always amazed me my time at COS was the true openness and interest to come up with new ideas and make things better. And, we all think we fill out these evaluations just to fill them out. But I know at COS, it's really about, getting clear feedback and exciting ideas on how to make things better. And so I really hope anybody listening that has an idea, and I'm sure many of you have great ideas, it's just to bring them forward. Reach out to anybody at the COS or the COS staff, and I know it'll be well received. So I love that part about the COS.
I want to ask you, Mona, if you could wave a magic wand, like if you had the ability to change something in ophthalmology or about ophthalmologists, and I'm really excited to ask Carissa McAllister this question when she comes on the podcast coming up, but I want to ask it to you too. If you could change something about how we work or how we're communicating, I'm getting it here. Tell us the tough stuff that you think we can do better as our leader. Wave a magic wand and change something about what we are all doing. What would you do?
One of my mentors have always said the number one enemy of ophthalmologists is the ophthalmologist. And I think behind that, he's trying to say that our main focus and our main attention should be the patient. So we should be really focused on delivering excellent care to our patients, being empathetic, being helpful, being compassionate people. It's not monetary. It shouldn't be. And it should be more about how good as a physician that we can be. And also in the healthcare delivery that I was mentioning, the landscape is changing, and it's important that we stay ahead of the game. I think that it's important that we look good in front of our patients, in front of government, that we are collaborative, that we work with people and not negatively impacting any other profession, but working in collaboration with other professions. So I think it's a continuum. Sure, there's primary care, and that can be given by primary care delivery people, but there's also surgery by surgeons, and that should also be advocated for. I think it's essential that we as ophthalmologists work collaboratively together for the focus, which is number one, the patient.
I want to go back to inclusivity, because when you started, you were a woman, you were in Quebec. And so in terms of the Canadian Ophthalmological Society, you're a woman surgeon. I have a hunch that you didn't always feel like you could see yourself in the space that you now find yourself in. And I don't know that that's true. Maybe you always did have mentors that you said, oh, I can do this. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what that was like for you when you were early on in your career and looking forward. And did you know that this is where you would land looking back on it? Because it's such an extraordinary journey you've had, and you're still on the rise. Like, you're just doing such incredible things. So what was that like for you when you maybe didn't feel included, if that was ever a truth of yours?
Thank you for that, Heather. It's truly a very thoughtful question, and you're absolutely right. I was a woman. I'm younger. I'm from a minority. I didn't speak French very well in a French environment, and I would have never aspired to this. But as I said, I'm driven by challenges. I love to overcome obstacles, and I've always felt that it's important to plow through, no matter how hard it could be. I think that it's essential to have people in your environment that support you. And it's important to lean on mentors who know how to guide you. We all are faced with attendings, and everybody has their own priorities or their own difficulties. But it's important to learn from that. And I could quote Khalil Gibran Khalil right now by saying that sometimes you learn tolerance from the intolerant. You learn kindness from the unkind. And you learn how to grow by being pushed down sometimes. So I think that in my sense, and I know it's hard for others, but for me, challenges were always, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do this because they're saying no, but I see no as an opportunity to move forward in my own way. So yeah, it was a tough beginning. And it's outstanding that I've actually come this way, and I'm saying it humbly, but I know that it was through discipline and a lot of hard work that we can reach where we are today. And, I'm grateful for COS for having the EDI committee. I've been on the committee since its inception because it was so essential for me, because I've lived through it. But I think it was so important to be represented like that. So kudos to Nupura Bakshi, who started this endeavor. And kudos to her for now championing the mentorship program that I spoke about. Because I think that there's a lot of people out there that need to know that they can have a support group and that they can have people they can lean on. So thank you, Heather, for asking.
Mona, I hope you realize how incredible that is. And I really hope that people listening, anybody going through a tough moment, whether it's early in your career, mid-career, any time in your career, can listen to that and see the light in those difficulties that you went through. I love it. I'm listening in awe, and just want to give you a big high five. That was really great. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you so much, Hattie.
So that was a great conversation, and you know how we like to wrap things up, Mona, having asked this question to many of our guests over the last couple of seasons. Mm-hmm. So we'd love to hear more about your life outside of ophthalmology and the COS. So what can you share with us about some of the things you enjoy doing outside of COS and ophthalmology?
Yeah, I'm known a lot in the ophthalmology field. People think that I work a lot in ophthalmology, but you know what? My number one priority has always been my family. So they come first. Regardless of everything that I do, I'm maybe more organized, more disciplined, and I get things done quickly. And the main point to get things quickly done is to be with my family. I have a wonderful, very supportive husband, and I have two tremendous daughters. And I love spending time with them. I love just seeing them grow and develop, and it's just enjoy being with them. We do a lot of activities together, and the main one is skiing. Every weekend in the winter, we're in Mont Tremblant skiing Saturdays and Sundays. So I learned skiing because of my daughters, who their dad, Mike, is just an avid skier. He's just phenomenal. And it was important for him that his daughters learned skiing. So, of course, I did not want to be left behind. I learned it too. And now we all ski together. Another thing we'd love to do together is travel. And we've had so many memorable trips over the years. It's just been really wonderful. I'm also a child of five kids in my family, so I'm always very well surrounded, and I feel always very supported. We have a very close-knit family. There's so much I could tell you. I mean, we're free.
Okay, this begs the question that we have to stop you here and find out, when you come from a family of 5 children, where are you in the birth order?
The last. I'm a twin.
Okay, I was gonna guess that you were the oldest. I was gonna guess that this like very.
Yeah. I have 3 older brothers and I have a twin sister.
Okay. So now perhaps this also can frame for us that like you weren't new to having to surmount any challenges or be the youngest in the bunch or the first to say, I'm going to do that too, and look up and say, okay, well, that's great.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Well, that gives me hope. It always, as a parent of 3, not even 5, you always worry about how much attention you give your second and third, because life gets busier. And so it's amazing to see. I know Mona and her twin sister are both, very, very successful, impactful professionals. So it gives me hope that even though I might not give as much to my third, that hopefully she'll come out a rock star like the 2 of you. I want to know more about the skiing. Are your daughters much better than you, or are you as good as them? How does it go now that you've learned more as an adult than they've learned as kids?
They are so much better than me by leaps, and Mike is just phenomenal too. So let's say they could be on double blacks and I'll still be on the green, but that's okay. It's still, I'm out there with them. So it's fun. It just keeps me recharged and balanced.
Mona, my boys are 12 and 14 and also have eclipsed me on the ski hill, and I can't keep up with them anymore. And I'm also a little bit anxious and I don't want to go that fast or that hard anyways, because I need my hands, my feet, and my head for this job.
Yeah, it's always in the back of my mind too. Yeah.
Well, what a great conversation, Mona. So many great things to hear about what you're doing at the COS, and some wonderful kind of pearls and personal stories along the way. That was a wonderful chat, as expected. So thanks for spending the time with Heather and I and all our listeners tonight. That was really great. Thank you.
Dr. Dagher, thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you both very much. And good luck on this season of podcast. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. We look forward to bringing you more engaging content over the coming months. EyeCan wants to know what you think. Please send your comments on today's episode or any suggestions you may have for topics or features to communications@cos-sco.ca, and we'll try to incorporate them into future episodes.
EyeCan veut savoir ce que vous en pensez. Veuillez envoyer vos commentaires sur le balado d'aujourd'hui ou vos recommandations de sujets à communication@cos-sco.ca et nous essaierons de les intégrer dans les prochains épisodes.
Season 5 of the EyeCan podcast is brought to you by Dagher Ophthalmology. We thank them for their support.
La saison 5 du balado EyeCan vous est offerte par Dagher. Nous les remercions pour leur soutien.
Thank you from the Canadian Ophthalmological Society. EyeCan is available wherever you listen to your podcasts, and of course, through the COS Practice Resource Centre.
EyeCan est disponible partout où vous écoutez vos balados et bien sûr au Centre de ressources pour la pratique de la SCO.
EyeCan is written and directed by Kim Teitler and produced by John Allaire from Allaire Strategic Works.
EyeCan est écrit et réalisé par Kim Teitler et produit par John Allaire d'Allaire Strategic Works. Some episodes this season will include relevant links and show notes, so be sure to check episode descriptions to learn more. Certains épisodes de cette saison incluront des liens pertinents dans les notes d'émission, alors n'oubliez pas de consulter les descriptions des épisodes pour en savoir plus.
If any of our listeners have topic ideas to submit, please email them to communications@cos-sco.ca, and we will review for consideration.